단여바 마이나 다기 여바 칼라줄 단여바 마이나 다기 여바 칼 좀 다만 보다 if the I the self do not exist 단여바 마이나 다기 여바 칼라줄 then how is possible mine exists I mine. If I don't exist, how is it possible exist mine? Understand? Then you have Baba and Tagaya So there is no such thing as real I, there is no such thing as real mind. You know, my body, my mind. You see? My child, my wife, my husband, my family, my death. You understand? So that. So since there's no real I, how is it possible? Mind, real mind, wife, children, possession. You see? Home, my home, personal. Then you have mind and how is possible? Since there's no I, how is possible? Mind exists. So, you see, if the thought ceased, the real I, the real mind ceased, that thought, see, ignorance, then then which causes samsara, causes samsara, you know, to take again, you see, as a lower birth, aggregate or lower realm, or Devahiman, Nyawalambaba, delusion karma, you see, with the ignorance karma. So, causes to resist Devahim Buddha. This is the ignorance, Nyawalamba, which causes to receive the aggregates, ceases. Tata, Dani Nyamsana, the ignorance, holding the real I and the real mind, both ceases, and then I just edit, but then here's the real, the I and mind, both ceases, that means the real one. The ignorance causes the previous samsara, you see, that creates samsara, that aggregates, you see, contaminated aggregates. So, ceases. Jawa ceases. Tesepana, Javas. When the cessation happens, then there's no rebirth. Tesepana, Javas. All right. And then, Gwe Samajuru text. Kewa mele, tamte kezam nile kewa me. Kewa mele, tamte. So, from the no birth From no birth, all are born. From no birth, all are born. It is a mere, it is only mere birth. It is only mere birth. There is no birth. So it is this second word, it becomes commentary to the first word, first line. The second line becomes the first verse. The second verse becomes the commentary of the first verse. So you see, all the birth comes from where? From no birth. No birth means no real birth. No, there's no real birth. So from there, from no real birth, then all the birth happened. All the birth happened. So all the birth is a mere level birth. All the birth happened, mere level birth. See? So second line, jamas. So that's all mere level birth. It is only mere level birth. There is no birth. There is no real birth. Oh. So anyway, so you see, the reality, as I mentioned before, there is no real death, real birth, as I mentioned, the quotation at the beginning. Okay, so there is no real depression. You believe, but there is no real depression. There is no real problem. For example, I give another example. You see, you get very heavy anger, emotional mind, negative emotional mind, very heavy anger. Suddenly, to somebody, you think of the nature of the I. I who get angry to somebody. So what is that I? It is nothing, except what's merely labeled by the mind. So when you think the I is suddenly you go back to think the one who gets angry, I. Okay, think the nature of the I. You see, merely labeled by the mind, the nature of the I, merely labeled by the mind. The minute when you think anger doesn't exist. The minute when you think anger as the anger one, the I exists in mere name. The minute we think anger is not there. So same thing. When you think of the mere I, how can there be depression that time? Same, exactly same. If not. But you see, the latter, your mind distracted, and then again of beliefs, the projection by the ignorance, this real I, you believe that's real I, you see, instead of a hallucination, instead of thinking constantly hallucination, then the thing is, again, you see, real I was projected by your negative imprint, left by ignorance. Then you see, you start to believe the real one. Then the anger arises. Then from there, the anger arises. As you think of that person, enemy, who appears to you, or whatever the reason. So using some harm to you. Anger arises. But you see, the minute you go back, examine this self, the mirror leveled by the mind. When you consider that, anger is not there. So how can there be depression? Same, exactly same. You say last night I gave an example, historically happened many times. Let's see, Kaswe. You see, so first time, first second, you see, mind which focus aggregates in the middle input eye. And next second, then that has to appear back to you. So they see ignorance, negative imprint left by the past ignorance, and then there's a project, hallucination, the real I. And see, then you see, on top of that, then believe. You see, believe that that's 100% true, in trust, and believe. That's not really labeled by mind, but something there from its own side. Something there, not merely labeled by mind. So the subtle objective reputed according to Prasangika, Madhyamika school Prasangika, is appearing, not merely I, appearing to, not merely labeled by mind. That is the very subtle objective reputed Pasanga school bill. So, see, not merely level mind. There's something from inside. Oh. Even it doesn't have to be truly existent, completely existent from it. It doesn't have to be that. There's something from inside, not merely level mind. Oh, that. Something subtle. So the real object to be reputed, the other person can. All this. So you see, so then the thought, that your thought, yeah, nature of thought which obscure to see the ultimate nature of the I. You see that? The basis, then this becomes the basis for rise so many other delusions from that. So that's so you see, when the I appeared real, then you start believing. Not merely labeled by mind as something. So something exists from inside. Oh, that is. That simultaneous born, that thought, is root of your samsara. That is root of your samsara. That is. Thought of the Gachatama, the subtle objective repeat, all that thought, there's something from inside. To order that time you're creating the root of samsara. You're creating the root of your samsara. The oceans of samsara suffer 6 years. You're creating. So therefore, see, we need all the time, not just 1 month, a few days, all the time we need to collect extensive, we need to collect so much merit. Merit and pure, continual, so extensive, because of great purification, continual purification. Then, the most powerful one is correctly following word to the friend. Fulfilling Guru's wishes in the advice. And then see the Lama Chapa means Guru Puja means Guru or what pleased the Guru. That's the key. That's the main thing. And see, even within a few seconds can change. As I mentioned already, change your rebirth, your Lord rule, hell or hunger gods, animal, whatever, events of suffering. What do we mean? All that change into, in a second, can change into, because to a born pure land or Deva, human body, perfect human body. Then there's ultimate Dharma, and only to go to enlightenment. So can change within few seconds. As I told you the story already. So that sorry, need to receive the blessing of Guru in our heart. Tebe semje pugara shugvitu. Tebe semje pugara by receiving like water, by receiving Guru's blessings in your whole of the devotional mind, then sprout comes. It's like the realization, you see, sprout comes, all from your mind, you see. But that's then the realization, emptiness as well. So, so when the devotion disappeared or degenerated, your mind is become like desert. Not what you eat afterwards, not what you eat after the food. Dessert, not that. So it's supposed to be something nice, dessert, something yum yum. So not that, but desert. Nothing grows, and yeah. So like that, it's so hot. So you see, when your mind becomes no devotion, then everything you see, your compassion, also your compassion, there's some compassion before, but now gone. Also, when the devotion is gone, the compassion is gone. Also, not like before, gone. Even before, what you had little before, it's gone. The thought of impairment, that, renunciation, what you had before, now it's gone. So, what you feel a little bit stronger before, bodhicitta, it's gone. So it's like that, you see. When the faith is gone, devotion is gone, then everything is gone. Mind become very like that. Sorry. Like like what flower? There's no water. There's no water, so we can't make we can't make in different food, pizza or noodles or different. You see, if you have water. But no water, so dry powder, so you can't do it. You can make a different food, cakes or whatever, like that.